around 10th grade, I started getting in a lot of trouble. I was doing a lot of stuff that I shouldn't be doing. And then it was around maybe 19. I kind of one day, I just kind of had enough. And I called my dad. I was like, all right, man, I'm done. I don't want to do this stuff no more. I was living in hotels. I was hopping around all over the place. He was like, all right, come see me. We're going to get it figured out. He was like, hey, you can come work for me. Putting stone on the pools.
You held the shovel on the ground. You worked your way up.
I got my girlfriend at the time pregnant. I was talking to my dad. I was like, hey, man, I got to do something. I'm working like 70 hours a week, making like $400. I probably didn't get ready soon enough because I left the hospital the next morning at like 5 a.m. to go interview at one of our competitors, another utility contractor. Then a few years later, we did this massive parking garage, and that's where I met Garrett. And I think not too long after that's when we came to Moss.
Too Big to Fail, Parker Thane. You hear the name Parker and everybody knows who you are. Here at Moss, everybody knows who you are. You've held the shovel in your hand, and I think that's why a lot of people can't discredit you, right? You held the shovel on the ground. You worked your way up, day in, day out, put the work in, receive calls, give calls, no matter what time it is. And I think that says a lot about you, right? Let's go back to, where area are you from?
So I grew up in Louisville, Texas.
Louisville.
I went to Louisville, all the schools, and then I went to Lake Dallas High School for a little bit, and then I graduated with the homeschool degree because I was getting,
degree's a degree.
I was getting into trouble and stuff like that in high school, and so I kind of just told my aunt one day, I'm like, hey, we got to figure out how to get me a high school diploma. So she kind of came up with that idea, and that's what we did.
Yeah. So did you hop in right into construction? Because I know your dad has a business, right? Like a pool business.
Yeah.
So you hopped in there, or were you working with him, during the summers while you were at school?
While I was in school, I worked with him every once in a while. In high school, around 10th grade, I started getting in a lot of trouble. I was doing a lot of stuff that I shouldn't be doing. So I'd go work with him every once in a while. And then it was around, I think I was maybe 19. I kind of one day, I just kind of had enough. And I called my dad. I was like, all right, man, I'm done. I don't want to do this stuff no more. I was living in hotels. I was hopping around all over the place. And I finally just called him, and he was like, all right, cool. I'll come see me, and we're gonna get it figured out.
You ready? Yeah.
And I was like, cool. And luckily he always told me, he said, hey man, whenever you're ready, you just call me and we're gonna figure this out. So I was like, all right. So I finally I don't know what switched in me. I just finally said, okay, cool. And so I gave him a call, and he was like, hey, you can come work for me, working on a stone crew. Putting stone on the pools.
Yeah.
Putting all the coping, building the waterfalls, heavy work, right? There was
labor-intensive work, right?
Labor-intensive work. You got paid like a subcontractor. So you got paid by the job, and these aren't fast jobs, right? Like you got like 3 guys, and you're putting all this coping and waterfalls and outdoor kitchens, and there's no sky tracks or forklifts to take this material off the truck. You're taking off the truck with
everything by hand.
Yeah. And so that's kind of where I got started. And I would sometimes, my stepdad owned a lawn mowing business, landscape business. And I would go work with him sometimes during summers or weekends and go cut yards and stuff like that.
So you immediately got introduced into like the outdoor work lifestyle, right?
Oh yeah.
Or outdoor work.
I mean, that's what my dad did growing up my whole life. I remember when I was real young, my dad, he owned a little roofing company where it was just him. It was him and his crew, right? They go roof houses. So from like 7 o'clock to 4 o'clock, 4:30, he'd roof houses. And then he'd leave going roof houses. And then he would go to, it was Ogden. And he was the fuel manager for the night shift. So he'd go do that for 8 hours. And then he'd wake back up and go roof houses from 7 to 4:30. And Man, I think he did that for like 10 years.
That guy never slept.
He never slept. He gets worked his ass off.
Work, work, work.
And I was that's just what I was taught.
Yeah.
Like my grandpa, that's what he did. He just worked. They worked their asses off, they provided, and they did what they needed to do for their family.
How long did you work for your dad then?
Man, I worked for him for like I think it was like a year and a half maybe.
Before you ventured off?
Before I ventured off, you know, after like 6 months after I kind of, I was ready to get figured out. I got I got my girlfriend at the time pregnant, and so I was getting closer to having my first daughter, and I was talking to my dad. I was like, hey man, we got to do something because I'm not making like any money, right? And I'm like, I'm working like 70 hours a week, making like $400,
Wow.
And I just talked to him like, hey, like if we can do something where I guess make by, get paid by the hour or something, right? Like I'm not asking to be a superintendent or none of that stuff, right? I'm like, just whatever I can do to try to make more money and just keep learning. I get that I'm not like ready to do that yet, and he's like, well, I don't really have anything right now, so I'm like, all right, well, I'm gonna start looking, dude, because like I can't
Yeah.
I can't do this, and I'm gonna have a baby, and I got my girlfriend, and
You wanted to get prepared for it,
yeah, I needed to get ready. So I probably didn't get ready soon enough because I I left the hospital the next morning at like 5 a.m.
from your wife having the baby.
from having the baby to go interview at one of our competitors, another utility contractor, and so I get there like 5:30, and I'm talking to them, and they're like, yeah, well, you can come aboard, and I'm like, okay, cool. I was like, give me a week. I'm gonna stay home a week. This is my first kid, and then I'll be ready to work. And they're like, you can work as many hours you want, and I'm like, cool, I need it, and
So you started off there as a laborer.
started there off as a labor hand.
It was a 6-man crew, 7-man crew.
Uh, yes, I was probably. They ran a little bit smaller crew, so we might have had like 5 guys, 4 guys. Um, and I learned a lot there. I think after 3 or 4 months, those guys were like, "Hey, we need you to hop in a truck, and you and this other guy, y'all go start like punching stuff out."
Mhm.
I had a guy. I was pretty fortunate because this guy who hired that they put me to work with, he really liked me. He actually owns a utility company now, and he kind of took me under his wing and like kind of helped me. I was new guy, and everybody likes to mess with the new guy. I was young.
I feel that. Yeah.
Some other things we won't talk about.
Yeah.
I couldn't speak any Spanish. I spoke a little bit of Spanish.
Yeah.
I spoke a little bit of Spanish. Uh, so the guy kind of takes me under his wing, and I go start punching these jobs out, and like I'm learning, and there's this guy named, I still remember him, this guy named George. He couldn't he didn't know how to really speak English, and I could speak a little bit of Spanish, right? But me and this dude we just figured it out, right? We figured out how to talk to each other, and he would crack me up, right? We'd be working our asses off, and he'd yell at me to get stuff, right? And then as soon as I get it, he put it in my face, and he'd yell, "Ratcha, ratcha away," and I'd be like, "Okay, got it."
I know what it is now.
Yeah, I got it now, right? And I'd come back with all these tools that I thought we would need, right? And he'd grab the one that we need, and he'd throw it in my face, right? And yell at me what the name of it was. And I'm like, okay. And sometimes,
Well, at least what he thought what it was called, right?
right, at least what he thought it was called, right? And it just cracked me up now just thinking about it, right? At the time, I'd get a little irritated because, it'd be hot, and you know how it is.
Trying to get the work done.
Trying to get the work
So essentially,
done.
was that a punch crew then? Essentially,
So essentially, it was a punch crew.
it was a punch crew that you were that. So you were on a crew as a laborer doing, pipe work, and then you got pushed to a punch crew.
Yeah.
Okay. How long were you there for?
2012 to when we started here. So it was October. I got hired there October 16th,
Mm-hmm.
which was October 17th. Sorry, the day after my oldest was.
So you transitioned from labor to punch crew, Did you become a foreman at any after that, like for
Yeah,
a mainline
and then
crew?
I think it was like maybe another 6 or 8 months after that. That guy left and he went to another company. He tried to take me with him. I was like, man, I'm gonna stay here. Um, and when that guy left, I took over the crew
Mm-hmm.
that he took his brother with him.
Oh.
So then I became a foreman.
Mm-hmm.
That's funny. My first job was at QTS
Well, was it really?
with Holder.
Oh man, that's interesting. That's interesting. Uh, and that's I'm assuming that's where you first met Garrett as well, right?
Yeah, that's where I met.
How'd you
Well, that's
first get
where
introduced to him?
I was. So that guy quit, and they promoted Case to go be a superintendent there,
Uh-huh.
and then they promoted me to go be that foreman. So that's how me and Case met. And then a few years later, I we did this massive parking garage underneath in front of this dude's house in Highland Park,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where I met Garrett. He came out to that job when he was a project manager. I met him. I talked to him there for a little bit, and I met him like 1 or 2 times after that. And I think not too long after that's when we all left and came to Moss.
Started here.
Yeah.
Started your journey here. So you started here though as a foreman, right?
Yes.
What was one of your first projects here?
It was like a fire line,
Mm-hmm.
and I can't even remember. I don't remember what the job was called, but it was like it was for a company called ACT.
ACT
Yeah.
Fireline.
It was like 100 feet. Me and my brother, just two of us. We had one guy show up, and he quit the same day.
It was too caliente for him.
Yeah, it was too hot.
Yeah.
We were hand digging around a bunch of communication lines.
And y'all were the first crew here.
Yeah,
And then after that, how long did it take before y'all started growing? Like more crews or, you know,
it's pretty quick. I want to say within like a month and a half,
started adding more
I
crews
just
to,
started adding more crews.
and you were still foreman?
Yeah, yeah. I don't think I became a superintendent. Maybe like 8 months, a year.
After being here?
Yeah, yeah. They moved another guy. They promoted another guy before me to be a superintendent.
And then that's whenever you were still out in the field doing foreman stuff, other crews. Um, what was Garrett like? Starting off here, trying to get you to buy in to come here and work for him essentially.
Like when they asked me to come
Yeah,
work
yeah,
for 'em,
yeah. What was your thoughts, initial thoughts? Like, is this gonna work?
I was just like, let's do it.
Just do it.
It's
Something
like-
different.
I was like, I mean, it was a good opportunity. I mean, uh, the other company was already kind of starting to talk to me about maybe moving up and being a superintendent and stuff like that. But those guys came to me and you know, uh, they're like, hey, we're gonna start this deal, and uh, they gave me a good offer, and it sounded like a good deal to like go help these guys build a company, and
Hmm.
it wasn't. I was like, cool, let's do it.
You just kind of went with your gut feeling.
I just went with it, and I was like, I mean, what's the worst? What's the worst that's gonna happen, right? Whether you're gonna figure it out or not.
Yeah, go knock on the door again, right? So superintendent, how long were you superintendent for here?
Hmm. Maybe 2.5 years.
Was a superintendent?
Yeah, because I became the general superintendent of December 2019. So it might have been 2 years I was a superintendent.
Do you remember how many crews we had at that time when you were a superintendent? Or how many crews did you have under you?
Uh, Man, I think at one point I had like 7 crews, punch crew, running concrete crews.
So it was just a mixture of all those crews trying to knock projects out.
Yeah, yeah, clean projects out. Had to fix a had to go fix a lot of projects.
Yeah.
But luckily I was always lucky because I had good punch crews.
Mm.
I had Ruben and Christian. So those were.
So that's where you first met Ruben then too?
See, I met Ruben here. He was working for Roy,
Uh-huh.
and then we needed a punch crew. Um, and I'm pretty sure I promoted him up to a punch crew.
Mm-hmm.
And then I worked with, I think, man, I don't know how long. I must have had him under me as a punch crew for, oh man, I don't know, 8 months, a year.
Yeah.
And then we needed another punch crew, and that's when I got Pinche Christian.
So
And
Christian.
I had, I think, and then I took Christian underneath me, and I let, I think maybe Julio take um Ruben,
Ruben.
so I could get uh Christian trained up and get him rolling.
So we're just, growing and growing and growing and just getting projects here, getting more crews, trying to promote within. I mean, that's a big deal here, right? Is trying to promote within. Um, was there any point where you felt like, man, this isn't going like where I wanted to, or you just kind of wanted to keep, keep,
Oh yeah. Yeah, I mean it was tough because like nobody really knew what they were doing, right? Like like Case and Gary didn't really know what they were doing, right? They came from being superintendents and a project manager, right? Like it's a completely different ballgame when you're on your own business, right? Like I mean, you gotta know about the WIB, you gotta know about financials, you got they were still learning how to run projects and really learn utilities before they started this, right? I mean, they still had a lot to learn, and we got ourselves in a big bind. Um, I mean, 2018, 2019, like, dude, those were hard years.
it was tough years.
Those were hard years. Those were years where, like, you were worried that if you're gonna have a job, like, and on top of growing crazy. I mean, putting new crews on and just trying to maintain everything. Uh, yeah, it was real hectic, and there was always a big fear of like, man, is this place gonna actually make it?
Yeah. I mean, but that kind of goes back to your dedication, right? As despite all that happening, you still stuck with Moss, right? Still stuck with it. A couple of years later, now, you're the, COO, right? You were the superintendent, general superintendent, VP of operations, and now the COO, right? So that just shows your hard work and dedication.
Yeah.
And it comes with, you know, all those learning curves, right? Of it being a newer company, a utility contractor. Um, you've built a lot of relationships, throughout those years. I think a big one is probably like Pogue, right? Was one of your first Pogue projects.
Well, I just want to say, during the hard times, I mean, I stayed and all that, but there was definitely times where I was like, man, I have to get out of here. Like there was times where there was like the temptation would creep in, and like I'm gonna have to find somewhere. This place isn't isn't working out, or
Mhm.
they're making bad decisions. I didn't like the decisions they were making, and so I don't want it to look like it was just me like hard work. I mean, there was definitely times to where
You
I was
want to
tempted.
you want to throw the towel in.
I was close to leaving because I was just like, man, this is the decisions that were being made were pretty upsetting and stuff that I was seeing, and um so yeah, I want to bring that to a little bit of light that I was close, and like I'm super grateful I didn't, right? Like to me everything like God has a plan for us, and um like getting passed up on some promotions and stuff like that. Like I look at it as that was timing, right? Maybe at that time it wasn't my time, right? I think the times that I got promoted were the right times, and it gave me a little bit more time to grow and get older and get more mature and learn more. And so, like when I look back at it, I'm not mad. I'm not really mad about it, right? Was I maybe a little frustrated at the time that they happened? Sure, but they happened how they should have happened, right? And now we're here.
With the plan, right?
Yeah,
And that's just kind of how it ended up working its way out.
right.
You know, that's. I think it's interesting for you to shed light on that because nobody really wants to talk about that. Well, I wanted to leave at some point, right? But I mean, life's not perfect.
That's not perfect.
Life's not perfect. Temptation always tends, to creep in about, make sure you're gonna be able to put food on the table, and what's best for your career, right?
Yeah.
You know, me personally, I look long term. I want to be somewhere where I want to be here. for a long time. I don't want to bounce from company to company. So I get that. It's good that you say that. Um, but bouncing back to, a little bit about, good relationships, building relationships. Pogue's one of them, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you've built a really good relationship with them. I know that we've done a lot of, not necessarily joint ventures, but they're projects where we just so happen to be on with RPMX, right?
Yeah.
And you built a good relationship with them as well, right?
Yeah.
You've been able to pick up the phone and like, hey, can you, give me some bass?
Yeah.
And it's those type of relationships that we strive to always connect with, right? Um, you know, what are some of the big first projects that you did with Pogue?
Man, I think the first project we did with them was like, I think it was like ES14 Prosper.
Mm.
Um,
They've been prospering, man. I don't know what they got.
they're killing Prosper.
It's
Yeah, them
ENS, HS.
them dudes, them dudes got that on lock.
Yeah.
Uh, but no, man. I mean, a relationship like Pogue is not a relationship that many people like get, and it's been real awesome because we haven't always done good on some of their jobs. Some of our first jobs were big struggles, and you know we just fought through them, and we kept fighting, and we kept fighting, and we stuck to our word, and we showed up every day, and we tried to perform as best as we could, and they get solid, and they saw that we were dedicated and we wanted to do good, and um, we had a couple of mistakes, and we stuck to them, we fixed them, and owned it, and we just kept building that relationship with them, and man, I don't even know how many jobs we've done with them.
We did.
We have done. I should know how many we've done, but we've done so many with them, like, and it's been awesome because if you really think about it, like since we started working with them, they have grown at a rapid pace like we have. And they guess they have we've done it together and we've helped them complete a ton of projects and man, I'm super grateful for it. Like
Hmm. I finally see them in Fort Worth. They're actually they're building a middle school in Eagle Mountain ISD, and that's one of the oldest. I think it's the first middle school for that district. So they're gonna demo that original school, and Pogue is building that school. So it was pretty interesting to see that because it's like minutes from my house.
yeah,
I was like, man, I thought they just
they're everywhere.
yeah. I was like, I thought they just stuck to Prosper. They're everywhere. They're growing a lot. Um, do you remember when like what was our like when was our first project with them? Because like we've grown, they've grown, but
I think it was like 2020.
our first project with them,
Yeah. I think Cody did it. I think Cody was on it, if I remember right.
yeah,
And Jeff. Jeff was the superintendent from Pogue. Old man Jeff.
old man Jeff,
We're always behind.
always behind. They're just pushing us to. It's kind of like Mr. Bob Gaston.
Yeah.
I get a call from Bob Gaston.
Get a Bob. Oh,
Yeah,
Bobby.
yeah. What about RPMX? Even though we do a little bit different work, what's been your relationship with them?
Man, I mean, it's been great. I mean, the industry's hard, right? This industry will chew you up, spit you out. It's done it to a ton of people. And so whatever we can do to make it less complicated and help figure out solutions together. And man, those guys have been great. I mean, we help them on stuff, they help us on stuff, and we just can figure stuff out with each other to kind of make our jobs easier.
Yeah,
And that was kind of a fluke deal. I met one of their superintendents and now he's a higher up guy a long time ago on a job off of it was off 114, and he always makes fun of me like, oh, I thought it was too good for him. And I met him, and me and him kind of became buddies. We call each other. If he needed something, he called me. If I needed something, I call him. And now he's not running the whole show, but he runs a big portion
yeah,
of that company now. And man, we just help each other out and try to get the job done faster, right? We'll coordinate together and stuff like that.
yeah,
And it's been
yeah.
good.
Because majority of the time we're right there behind them, right?
We're critical path on every job we do. We're critical path. Then we fire lanes down so they can go vertical.
Yeah.
So
There you go.
if we can work together to get that done faster for the GC and then keep the GC off our ass and make them happy, then why not? Right? Why are we gonna fight about it? You know, it helps, and honestly, we get it done faster, everybody's happier, and we move on to the next one.
That's a win-win.
It's a win-win.
Yeah.
What's core value? Core value, which
Yeah.
one? What number?
Core value number what, 3? I'm guessing.
I can't remember.
I'm guessing. Core value number 3. So it's been quite a path, right, that you've had, growing up, having some struggles, you know, pushing through, finding work, being dedicated, ups and downs. There's been a lot that you've gone through to be where you're at today. And what's your relationship with Garrett now? I think he listens to you. He knows that you have good ideas. Now that you're the COO, what are some changes that you've made that you feel like, are bettering the company off?
I would say it's probably it's at a good spot. We've had some knockout battles, right? It's like, and we've had to work through them, and me and him both are. I would definitely say we're stubborn, right? And we're like, hey, we're both going at it, right? Like, and and we just had to, at the beginning we struggled at communicating our frustrations with each other, right? And we thought the other one knew that the other one was thinking, and we finally just had to come to a point to where it's like, hey man, we gotta tell each other what's going on, because I can't if I hold all the stuff in, I'm gonna pop one day, right? And when I pop, it's not good, and when you pop, it's not good. So we learned that we just kind of have to let each other know, like, hey, this is how I'm feeling right now, and let it explain, like, okay, well, this is not what I'm thinking. I think you're feeling away, but I'm not even thinking that, so we're good, dude. And so it's just us maturing and growing as leaders, and
Just being transparent,
just
right?
being transparent.
Yeah, I can see that. Being transparent. I've always tried to be as transparent as possible, I think like even the guys out in the field, like just being transparent with them, like what our intentions are, what's Moss about, being transparent, this is what we're doing, we want you to go home safe. We want you to, go home at the end of the day with, a check on Fridays, and, that's transparency for us. Well, I appreciate you coming on today. You've had quite a story here. Big face here. A lot of people know you, respect you, and mean a lot to Moss, right? So I appreciate you coming on today.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.